Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is to cut through that noise and get you really well informed. Today, we're plunging into the latest dynamics in artificial intelligence. It's moving so fast, isn't it? Hard to keep up, which is exactly why we're here. For this deep dive, we've looked at quite a stack of sources, recent industry reports, financial news, and a pretty revealing national poll, our goal. To give you a clear, concise, hopefully captivating picture of where AI stands right now, from these huge corporate battles all the way down to how it's popping up in, say, your kitchen.
Okay, let's unpack this. The competition heating up among the biggest players. We've seen some pretty dramatic moves recently, starting with Anthropic and OpenAI. According to Wired, Anthropic actually revoked OpenAI's access to its Claude models. That's their foundational AI.
Right, that's a big step, cutting off API access between major labs.
Exactly, and the reason they gave.
Yeah.
Anthropic claims OpenAI was using Claude to compare performance. Comparing it against their own models for things like coding, writing, safety.
Benchmarking. Yes, but apparently going further. Anthropic specifically mentioned OpenAI staff using their coding tools right before the GPT-5 launch.
So potentially for development, not just evaluation.
That's the implication. Anthropic called it a direct violation of our terms of service, which, they say, forbid using Claude to build competing services. Seems pretty clear-cut from that perspective.
It does track with history, too. Remember Jared Kaplan, Anthropic's chief science officer?
Yeah, he previously said something similar about cutting off another company, Windsurf.
He basically said it would be odd for us to be selling Claude to OpenAI. So this isn't totally out of the blue.
True, though there's a bit of nuance. Anthropic did say they'd still allow access for, quote, benchmarking and safety evaluations.
Okay, so not a total blackout, but definitely drawing a line on competitive development.
Right. And OpenAI's response, they called it disappointing, but said they respect Anthropic's decision.
Yeah.
They also made a point of noting their own API is still available to Anthropic, a little bit of a diplomatic jab, maybe?
Perhaps. What's fascinating here is how these companies are defining the boundaries. Competition versus collaboration. It's such a rapidly evolving space. Anthropic's drawing a very hard line on IP here. You can look, maybe touch for safety, but don't use our tools to build your next big thing.
It feels like a shift, doesn't it? From maybe a more open, researchy feel to something more proprietary.
Exactly. It hints at maybe a balkanization of AI.
Yeah.
Different players walling off their core tech. And you have to wonder, can innovation really thrive long-term if access gets too restricted?
That's a really good question. And speaking of big players making moves, let's talk about Apple. Tim Cook, the CEO, reportedly held this big all-hands meeting. And the message was pretty forceful. Apple must do this. Apple will do this. This is sort of ours to grab. Talking about AI, obviously.
Wow, ours to grab. That's strong language.
It is. And it came right after an earnings call where he'd already promised to significantly ramp up AI investment. Now, Apple has launched AI features recently. The Apple Intelligence stuff.
Right, integrated into the OS.
Yeah, but they've also had those, significant delays with upgrading Siri.
True, Siri hasn't quite kept pace sometimes.
And Cook himself even acknowledged Apple's history here. He said, "We've rarely been first." He listed examples. PC before Mac, smartphone before iPhone, MP3 player before iPod.
But his point is always that they defined the modern version.
Exactly. That being first wasn't the key, but perfecting it and integrating it was.
So, looking at Apple's big push now, how does that fit with this idea of proprietary systems? Are they trying to build their own AI walled garden?
Especially since they aren't necessarily seen as the AI pioneers.
That's precisely the point, isn't it? Apple excels at integration, user experience, perfecting, not necessarily inventing the core tech first. But AI feels different. It's not just a feature. It seems foundational now.
Right.
So they have to dominate it or risk falling behind in their own ecosystem. They're betting on deep integration with hardware, software, that huge user base.
But the challenge, going back to the Anthropic thing, is can they get the foundational AI they need, build it fast enough? Or will they need partnerships that maybe limit their control?
That's the tightrope they have to walk.
Yeah.
Control versus capability.
A really sharp point. And control, partnerships. That leads us right into our next big theme. Here's where it gets really interesting. The money, the models, and these mounting legal questions about content. Let's start with Amazon. They just struck a multi-year licensing deal with the New York Times.
Ah, yes, giving Amazon access to NYT content for their AI platforms.
Exactly. The financials weren't initially public, but the Wall Street Journal dug into it. Their sources suggest the deal's worth maybe $20 million to $25 million a year for the Times.
20 to 25 million annually.
Yeah, which, get this, could be almost 1% of the Times' total revenue for 2024.
Wow, that's not insignificant for a single deal.
None at all. And it covers a lot. The main newsroom, NYT Cooking, even The Athletic, their sports site.
So Amazon gets all that editorial output.
To train its AI models, summarize articles, provide snippets across its services, clear purpose.
And it's not just Amazon, right? These deals are becoming a pattern.
Definitely. OpenAI's deal with News Corp, reportedly worth potentially over $250 million over 5 years.
$250 million, potentially.
And another with Axel Springer, owner of Business Insider Politico, maybe $25–30 million over 3 years.
So big money is flowing from AI labs to certain news publishers.
It really highlights the tension, doesn't it? What's the bigger picture when the NYT makes a deal with Amazon, but is actively suing OpenAI and Microsoft over using its content?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this tension, it's huge. It's this fundamental clash between the need for tons of data to train AI and the rights of the people who create that data, that content.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest challenges, I think, for the future of the internet itself. It echoes past media shifts, printing press, web. Who owns information? Who gets paid?
Right.
These deals, like the NYT Amazon one, they feel a bit like stopgaps, maybe, while the bigger legal and ethical battles rage on.
So the lawsuits are the other side of the coin.
Yeah, exactly. The New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft for copyright infringement.
And Dow Jones, the New York Post, they're suing Perplexity, that AI search engine.
And it's not just the giants. Smaller companies, individual creators, they're all worried about their work being scraped without permission or payment.
It's a really widespread concern. We even saw former President Trump weigh in.
Oh, what did he say?
He essentially dismissed copyright concerns for AI training, said something like, you can't be expected to have a successful AI program when every single article, book, or anything else you're supposed to pay for. He added, we appreciate that, but just can't do it because it's not doable.
Well, that certainly reflects a particular viewpoint, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The idea that AI needs the data, so payment isn't feasible.
How does that kind of sentiment factor into this whole debate? Does it just show how far apart the sides are?
It absolutely highlights that tension. It's the tech developer or enthusiast view. Information should be free for training because the scale required is immense. But it runs smack into decades, centuries really, of copyright law designed to protect creators.
So it's not just legal, it's philosophical.
Deeply. What is intellectual property in an age where machines learn from everything? The courts, lawmakers, they're scrambling. And the outcome could really reshape everything. Maybe a new data commons idea emerges, or maybe creators find totally new ways to license their work for AI. We just don't know yet.
Okay, so we've got these huge corporate fights, massive legal questions, but what does this all mean for you, for us? Let's look at how everyday Americans are actually using AI. This new AP-NORC poll gives us some clues. Key finding: 60% of U.S. adults use AI to search for info, at least sometimes.
60%. That's a majority, even if it's just sometimes.
Well, adoption for other stuff, much lower. About 4 in 10 use it for work tasks or brainstorming ideas. Even fewer for drafting emails, creating images, entertainment, maybe a third. And shopping, only about a quarter.
So search is the main gateway drug, so to speak.
Seems like it. And maybe unavoidable, right? Google's been putting AI summaries at the top of results for over a year now.
It's true. It's becoming embedded in tools we already use.
There's also a really clear age divide. Younger adults, much more likely to lean into AI. 74% of those under 30 use it for searching.
Wow, 3/4.
And the gap widens for other things. Brainstorming. About 6 in 10 under 30 have used AI for ideas. Compare that to only 2 in 10 of folks aged 60 plus.
That's a huge difference, almost 3 times higher for the younger group.
And younger adults are also more likely to use it daily for brainstorming.
This age divide is really striking. What do you think the broader implications are? Could it widen digital divides, create new ones?
It's a critical question, isn't it? It's not just about apps. It might reflect different comfort levels, different ways of finding information, even solving problems.
Yeah, if younger people are relying on AI more for generating ideas or summarizing things.
Does education need to change?
Exactly. And could it create a new kind of literacy gap? where older generations maybe struggle more in an AI-powered world.
Potentially impacting jobs, opportunities.
It could definitely exacerbate existing disparities if access or skill becomes essential.
Let's make this more concrete. The poll included some individual stories. Take Courtney Thayer, 34, an audiologist in Iowa. She uses ChatGPT for meal prep, like asking for recipes with an Asian flair or calculating nutrition for her baking. Practical stuff.
Okay, everyday life integration.
Professionally, too. The hearing aids she works with have AI built in, and she uses AI to help draft professional emails. Says it's faster, easier.
Makes sense for efficiency.
But, and this is important, she's cautious, avoids AI for anything crucial, especially medical advice. Why?
Let me guess, hallucinations.
Bingo. She's seen chatbots just make stuff up, so she draws a line there.
Smart. Critical thinking is key.
And here's a fun detail. She says please and thank you to the chatbots.
Really? Why?
She laughed and said, just because I've watched movies, right?
Huh. Better safe than sorry when the robots take over.
Maybe. Then there's Sana Wilson, 28, a freelance data scientist near LA. She's very discerning about AI search. Skips the AI summary for specific news like California happenings.
Wants the raw info, maybe.
Seems like it. But for basic facts, like what day is Christmas in 2025, she trusts the AI summary for that.
Okay, differentiating task complexity.
And she uses AI heavily for work coding. Says it saved her hundreds on training.
A clear productivity booster there.
Sometimes uses it for work ideas, too, trying to recapture that collaborative brainstorming experience.
Interesting phrase.
But here's where she draws a line. Emails. She stopped using ChatGPT for emails.
Oh, why specifically emails?
2 reasons. Concerns about the environmental impact of AI.
Okay, that's a less common concern you hear voiced, but valid.
And second, worried it would erode her own writing and thinking skills. She said, it's just an email. I can work it out. I can still type it myself.
That's really thoughtful, reflecting on preserving her own human abilities.
Exactly. How common do you think these kinds of, personal ethical boundaries are becoming? Beyond just, does it work?
This raises an important question about how AI integrates, not just as a tool, but as something prompting self-reflection. Courtney and Sana are great examples. They aren't just passive users. They're making active, conscious choices. When to use it for convenience, when to pull back because of accuracy fears or environmental impact, or even just wanting to keep their own skills sharp.
It shows a lot more nuance than just looking at adoption percentages.
Absolutely. People are navigating this complex relationship in really varied, thoughtful ways, considering the deeper impact.
One last point from the poll. AI companionship.
The relationship side.
It was the least common use. Only about 2 in 10 adults overall, maybe a quarter of those under 30.
Still a minority, but higher among younger adults again.
Right. Sana Wilson, the data scientist, said she has no interest herself, but she gets why others might. She said she totally understands and sympathizes with people her age using it that way.
Any reason why?
She pointed to the COVID pandemic, how it impacted social experiences for her generation.
That's an interesting perspective. Loneliness or changed social norms driving some adoption.
Plausible. And Courtney, the audiologist, also no interest in AI friends.
Yeah.
But going back to her politeness, she said she's polite just in case they're keeping track.
There it is again. It really is fascinating. Even without using it for companionship, there's this undercurrent of acknowledging its presence, its potential future influence.
Even if it's just a joke, mostly.
Right. It reflects that conscious navigation we were talking about, weighing the benefits against, well, all the potential strangeness.
So, quite a journey today in this deep dive. We've seen intense corporate fights, Anthropic versus OpenAI, Apple's big push. We've looked at the messy middle ground of content, money, and copyright, big deals, big lawsuits, and then brought it down to earth with how real people are actually using AI or choosing not to in their daily lives. The caution, the creativity, the concerns.
It really covers the spectrum, from boardroom strategy to kitchen counters, and considering all that, the sheer speed of development, how it's weaving into corporate plans and personal habits, it makes you wonder, how will our reliance on these tools really shape us, our thinking, our society over the next, say, 5 years? What skills become more valuable for humans when AI does the routine stuff? And maybe more importantly, how do we actively cultivate those skills? That feels like the big question for all of us moving forward.